first day of ECC, and we're really grateful to Jerome and the Aseth team to include us in this conference. So we have one day of tracks, and then day 2 and day 3, there's workshops from some of the presenters you'll see today, talking about what they're working on and how it integrates with the Web3 ecosystem, and specifically with Substrate, a development stack to build blockchains easily, and Polkadot, a networking protocol to connect blockchains easily. So we're a couple minutes behind, so we'll just go ahead and get started. Ryan Zer from Web3 Foundation is the first talk. Have a great rest of your day and enjoy Paris.
All right. Thanks, Jack. Thanks to everyone for coming out. I am going to talk to you a little bit about the state of Web3 and crypto governance on Polkadot. So what is Web3? Just quickly, I'm assuming most of you know. This is Gavin Wood's vision for a decentralized serverless web where users have greater control over their privacy, their financial accounts, their data, and inevitably their freedom online, where decentralized peer-to-peer networks, leveraging sound crypto economic design, allow us to effectively decentralize the web. And why do we call it Web3? Well, we had Web 1, which was static websites. Monetization was strictly through UI with very poor, monetization strictly through advertising with very poor UI. We went through to Web 2, which is social, mobile. There's far more interaction with websites. However, monetization remained the same, strictly through surveillance capitalism and largely advertising. And this has created a consolidation of power. It's created a number of privacy issues that we all face. And now we're moving towards a new generation, which is decentralized applications built on WASM virtual machines. Monetization is built directly in at the protocol layer. And there's better user control of privacy and data, and better distribution of wealth and power on the internet. So why does this matter? Web3 matters because Web 2 has failed us. A small group of companies own, the vast majority of cloud compute, cloud storage. Even a smaller group of companies own almost all of your data, and they commercialize it as they see fit without including you in the process. And we deserve better. We deserve a more decentralized internet where we have better control over our data, how that data is monetized, and we can share in that monetization strategy. So this is where the Web3 Foundation comes in. So we believe that we can create borderless public goods through representation and crypto governance that are transparent and enforceable. We believe that in our space, we need more safe spaces for experimentation and evolution generally, and that crypto governance helps give us this. And that sound crypto economic design allows us to achieve a Nash equilibrium between peer-to-peer agents on a network. And the first project that the Web3 Foundation is responsible for is Polkadot. This is interoperability for Web3, taking protocols out of the sort of siloed generation that we exist now, and allowing for different crypto networks to communicate with one another. It's an incredibly ambitious project, and led by one of the top teams in the space, if not the top team in the space at Parity. It has a novel hybrid consensus mechanism, a novel security model, and obviously will implement on-chain enforceable crypto governance natively. So a quick 30,000-foot view of Polkadot. You've got effectively a relay chain, which is sort of the main chain or base chain, and then parachains, which are any other chain, can connect either natively, if they're built using the substrate framework, or through a bridge. So something like Ethereum or Zcash will connect into Polkadot via a bridge. Other chains like Edgeware or Blink will connect natively as they're built in using substrate. A couple of interesting things about the crypto governance model of Polkadot. So you've got referendum, so motions being tabled constantly for voting. We've got a council. That council sort of allows for quicker tabling of certain items, although anybody can table a motion. A function called adaptive quorum biasing, which I'll get into, and this basically means that the lower the turnout, the more you need the yays over the nays to carry the vote. But we'll get into what that means in a second. Lock voting. So this is where you can give more weight to your vote if you really believe in something and you want to lock yourself into the system should your vote pass. Approval voting for the council, and then a DAO treasury. So part of the block reward will go to a treasury that will then incentivize the network and incentivize not only, so the block reward is not only designed to incentivize validators on the network. It'll incentivize open source developers of all kinds, whether it be application developers, protocol layer developers, many different people contributing to the community, and we're incredibly excited about what that means. And then delayed autonomous enactment, that is just a very interesting and necessary security mechanism. So all of these things sort of make up Polkadot's crypto governance model. And just to kind of walk you through, this is a little bit of a busy slide, but actually let me see if I've got a laser pointer here. Do I? There we go. No? No. Well, anyways. So we've got a council. This council sort of rotates regularly via approval voting. This would be a group of technical experts that are well prepared to sort of steward different decisions on the network. All votes come down to the coin holders at the end of the day. However, anybody can table a vote. Any coin holder can table a vote. They post a stake in order to table a vote. Or the council can table a vote either through unanimous vote or through majority vote. And depending on whether an individual tables the vote, the council tables the vote via majority, or the council tables a vote via unanimous decision, that will adjust the quorum necessary to carry the vote. I think we. Oh, okay. Okay. All right, there we go. So this is adaptive quorum biasing. And adaptive quorum biasing, as you get lower turnout for a vote, you need more yays to carry the vote over the nays. So, those of us who remember the DAO, the reason why the DAO blew up and the reason why most crypto governance projects have had issues is on turnout. So we didn't meet minimum quorum for a very obvious measure that we should have passed, which was the moratorium. And in this case, you can have low turnout as long as you have very strong bias towards one side or another. And then as turnout goes further, then you just need 50 plus 1 or 51% in order to carry. This allows us to make decisions even if there isn't a strong turnout. And this will change based on whether whether a coin holder proposed it or whether the council proposed it via unanimous or majority proposal. So another interesting thing is time lock voting. This is where, the standard argument against crypto governance is often, well, the plutarchs win then, and the rich can just vote in the way that they want. But with this, it's actually not the case, because if you have fewer tokens, but you want to time lock them for a longer period of time, you can give more weight to your tokens. So we've got two examples here: Alice, Bob, and Charlie. Alice and Charlie vote no. Alice locks up hers for 8 weeks, Charlie only for 2 weeks. They don't, in this case, have enough to carry against Bob, who votes yes and locks for 6 weeks. However, if Bob only locks for 4 weeks and Alice for 8 weeks, but then Charlie for 2 weeks, Charlie and Alice end up carrying the vote and Bob ends up losing. However, what happens there is Alice and Charlie, in this case, Alice and Charlie are tied into the system for their number of weeks, whereas Bob can leave. And so what this means is that you sort of commit yourself to continue to be part of the network should your vote go through, and should the mechanism move in the direction that you're wanting to. So you can give yourself more leverage, but then you're tied into the system. And we think that this is an elegant way to sort of mitigate the effect of the plutarchs. One of the things I'm most excited about Polkadot is the roadmap. I mentioned that it's really an extraordinary team leading this project, and they have a history of delivering on time and on budget, and this is right now scheduled to be the first project in the history of our industry to deliver mainnet ahead of schedule. So originally Polkadot was supposed to deliver in 2020, and right now we are expecting that Polkadot is delivered end of Q3, early Q4 this year. And that really makes it, in my estimation, the sort of the next biggest iteration in our industry this year. It'll be a massive step forward in a number of things, whether it's WASM VMs or crypto governance or other things. And it's going to be available this year, which is incredibly special. So we're very excited about this roadmap. And some cool projects already being built in the Polkadot ecosystem. So Substrate is something I spoke a little bit about, and more people will talk about today. Substrate is a development framework, or you can think of it like an IDE, that essentially abstracts away the low layers of the stack, and you can focus on your application or your users in question. It allows you to sort of spin up a blockchain in about 15 minutes. In fact, the founder, Gavin Wood, did a live demo taking a computer out of shrink wrap and spinning up a blockchain and a decentralized application in about 20 minutes in front of a live audience. And Substrate sort of gives you all of these things, which is very interesting. Using WebAssembly, which is a trend that we're seeing across the space. It's also built on libp2p, which our friends at Protocol Labs are responsible for, and that's a wonderful project. There's a Rust implementation, a Golang implementation being built by ChainSafe in Canada, JavaScript and others. We're also looking for other people to build more implementations. So this is a really exciting tool that allows you to spin up a blockchain very quickly and very easily. Something that took years before now actually takes minutes. Edgeware is a project that I am particularly interested in, and this is a sort of testing ground or sort of innovation factory for crypto governance. So Edgeware will be the first chain deployed on Polkadot. It will be the first chain, to my knowledge, in the Polkadot ecosystem to leverage a Treasury DAO. So fully half the block reward will go into a DAO, which will then be voted on by the token holders to distribute rewards to, again, app layer developers or protocol layer developers or so on and so forth. This is really interesting because it allows more people to get involved and essentially work for the DAO. We're going to see a number of people who, and teams and companies who effectively work for this DAO as their primary business model. Other really interesting projects. There are really too many to name, but we're certainly very excited about PokeSource and PokeScan. There are a number of chains that intend to launch on Polkadot from day one. I had mentioned Edgeware, but Zcash, Agoric, which is Mark Miller's JavaScript smart contract platform, and many others. And so, come find us throughout the day if you're thinking about building a novel consensus mechanism or interesting decentralized application. We really think that this is probably the best environment to do so in. The really interesting thing that that I have been captivated by with respect to Polkadot is this change in paradigm with respect to architecture, where in the past, Ethereum and other ecosystems look at every application as a smart contract that is then deployed on a single consensus mechanism and thusly subordinate to that consensus mechanism. With Polkadot, we look at every application can be its own chain. And then you don't need to be subordinate to that consensus mechanism. You can just plug and play a consensus mechanism that works for your users and your specific use case. So if it's a very high a transaction frequency, then maybe a DAG makes more sense than POS or something like that. And each application can be its own chain and tie into the relay chain, which I think is a very interesting approach to scalability, and also just an interesting approach to be able to build decentralized applications in a more appropriate fashion. As I mentioned, you're more than welcome to get involved. We've got a very strong and growing global community, and you can reach out. You can find me, find other resources, and we'll be here all week. So thanks very much.